there, avid listeners. Thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop. So today we're going to be talking about The Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott. This is the first novel in his Shadow Sky series, and it takes place in mythic Scotland. It follows Agatha and Jamie, who have to embark, or not have to, but they choose to embark on a mission to rescue their clan from invaders, pretty much. So they have to travel from Scotia to Norveg, and it's pretty interesting to read the story. I will say this, as far as representation is concerned, I do like Agatha being a disabled character, because everyone looks down on her. They do call her mean things like, retard, and I do think that it's unfounded, but she is on the spectrum. She definitely does have a form of autism. However, I think it only serves to make her even more brilliant, because she's probably the strongest character in the book. She's incredibly clever. She's very thoughtful, even more so than Jamie. Not to say anything bad about Jamie. He has his own anxieties about water. He tends to get motion sickness. There are a lot of things that nowadays we understand, but if you put them in this time period, they were looked on as, weaknesses that usually didn't go well with a group of people. So it's really interesting to see the fact that Jamie suffers from anxiety, the fact that Agatha has a form of autism. It is nice to see these two be our heroes, because Jamie is disabled in the sense that he suffers from panic attacks and anxiety, and anyone who suffers from that can know just how debilitating it can be. I suffered from, anxiety a lot in high school, so I definitely understand how debilitating it can be. And Agatha, again, she's on the spectrum. She has a form of autism. So I think we've reached a point in our society where we don't have to handhold everyone, or we can kind of just let people try to do the things that we think they can't do. And if they do need help, we will help them. But to put people with these conditions in this sort of time period, I think it was very thoughtful. I think it was very interesting for the author's choice. And it does make a very compelling narrative. It does make a very compelling story, because you are watching these two grow into themselves. You're watching them defy everything everyone has thought of them. You're watching them and you're reading them grow, and it makes for a compelling read. And I love how Agatha shines. I will say this, I think I liked Agatha's narrative more than Jamie's, only because he does do a lot of self-deprecating, and that is kind of a pet peeve of mine. I understand it, don't get me wrong, but he does let his self-doubts get in the way of his progression as a character. Once again, that is relatable, it's completely understandable, and it is once again completely realistic. But it takes him a while to really grow into his strength. And I do like his voice. I do like how relatable he is. I do like the representation that has gone into this novel, especially with the LGBTQ representation as well. I enjoyed that. I think it is a thoughtful story. I do think it is a very fun story because you see these characters and they're traveling. They're going on such an incredible journey, both inside of themselves and as they're traveling the land. They are dealing with mythic shadow beasts. They are dealing with a lot of magic. And these are things that I don't think they actually believed in. Agatha herself, she can talk to animals, and I think that that's really cool for her characterization. Once again, everyone in her clan is against that. But she uses everything that they fear, everything they don't understand, to her advantage to shine throughout the story. And so I think on that note, it is a good story. I'm very excited to read the sequel to see where it's going to go from here, because now they have to go back home and they have to take back their homeland. But I think it's just very interesting to see this story develop, and I like seeing the magic unfold through Agatha's ability to talk to animals, through the use of the shadow creatures against the daemons. And I think it's a very interesting to see it in this sort of setting. This is not a setting I would say I'm 100% familiar with. I will say it did remind me of Brave a lot. That's the closest I can. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, that was a yawn. That's the closest I can draw it to. So it's not a setting I'm wholly familiar with outside of watching Vikings and Brave. But I do, and but that is why I enjoy it, because it is something new, it is something different for me. Definitely not something I typically would read. In fact, I received an arc for book 2, and I'm just like, this is a book 2, I have to read book 1. So I kind of picked up book 1 without really knowing what it was about. The cover gave me something. The colors and the artistry made me think more Native American than Viking. So I really was kind of caught off guard. I really need to start reading blurbs. But I was a little caught off guard when I started reading it, but I was still entertained. I still liked it. I still love the voices. Once again, I think this is more of a character-driven story than anything, but it does move at a really steady pace. It does have very high tension moments, and it does have a lot of characterization. It does have lots of depth. So I do think that while this is a character-driven story, it does move at a very steady pace. It does move at a very quick pace. The author is developing the story. He is building the land as he goes, which I think worked in favor of this story. There's lots of myths, there's lots of lore, once again trickled throughout the story, but that's something that I like. I'm in favor of that because, like I said, it keeps the momentum going. Eliot isn't just kind of bombarding the readers with so much information at once. He's creating a scene, and then from that scene, he will introduce myths and legends and folklore, but throughout the story, because like the characters traveling to this new land that they're unfamiliar with, we as readers are unfamiliar with it. So as they are discovering the secrets of the land, so are we. So that keeps the pacing and the tension high, which makes it engaging as for a character-driven story. Because there's lots of them traveling and not really a lot happening, but you're still intrigued because of all the trickling in of history, mythology, and folklore and magic that the author is inputting into the story in a very subtle way. So I think I'm going to give The Good Hawk 4 stars. Once again, it didn't blow me away, but I do love the representation. I do love the diversity in the voices that the author has decided to go with. I do love how we have such a strong protagonist who is part of the disabled community. I think that that's very enriching, and I think it's very compelling. And I love Agatha. She is amazing. Honestly, I think she's the star of the novel, more so than Jamie. And the book does split between their perspectives, but I think she's the star, and I feel like Jamie's her sidekick. That's how I read it. You might read it differently, but that's how I read it. So I really do appreciate the author's journey and development and choice to make Agatha the star of the novel and also part of the disabled community. So once again, this was The Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. If you want to go ahead and purchase the book, I recommend purchasing it off of bookshop.org. If you want to go ahead and check out the book from your local library, please do so, because libraries are a great resource for the community, and you can get ebooks, you can get audiobooks, you can get physical copies from there. They got it all for you. And once again, I hope you will continue to support Sin's Workshop by liking this podcast and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and as always, happy reading.